One, two, three. Test mic. One, two, three. Test mic. One, two, three. Okay, guys. So, yep, that's good. So, oil painting. Again, let's start with the underdrawing. Uh, it's always better to have a drawing underneath. You can use pencil, charcoal, or paint. Ink can do it. Uh, do you need this type of shading? For me, I recommend studying always rendering in charcoal or pencil because controlling value is very important. And when you this process is actually like a shortcut. So you kind of placing the values first. You can either use paint or charcoal like me here, and that's gonna cut your work like in half. You don't have to keep on, changing the drawing underneath. So for me, it's a practical route, and being a technical, logical, logic-based kind of guy, kind of artist, uh, this procedure is more for me. It's more realistic, more practical, less romantic, less showy, but it creates, it gives you more, say, control. Okay, so for the darks, you're gonna start shading the darks, right? There's the Leonardo way where you lighten everything up, and then for me, depends on depends on what I'm working on, and sometimes I don't lighten the drawing anymore, and just keep the gray here as the blue or the blue plus black, which Leonardo advises. And if you want to go for the gray, the lighter faded underdrawing, the important thing is the darks. Okay, so for the darks, you can either use raw umber. This is raw brown. This is alkyd paint by Paul Rubens. You can either use a base raw umber or burnt umber. So you have to choose what type of shadow that you like. You like a warmer shadow. Uh, if you want burnt umber, is like orange, right? It's a dark orange, and raw umber is a yellow. It's a dark yellow. So depends. If you want kind of greenish type of shadow, go for the raw umber. And then for burnt umber, you can go for this a purplish. You can choose this to turn this into a purplish or uh, like a cooler, like a midnight type of shadow or dark. And I don't. And then you're gonna need a yellow ochre. This is for darks, okay? We're still gonna need to mix yellow ochre in our darks, and of course our ultramarine blue. We're gonna need our ultramarine blue. So it's not just pure raw umber. If you want your umber to darken your raw umber without placing too much paint on there, add blue and red and yellow. Yellow will lighten the color. So this is what's gonna happen, right? So raw umber is like value 8, I guess, 8 or 9. So that's not black, but it's a little bit lighter than black. Okay, so and then yellow ochre is value 5. So when you mix both of these in equal parts, it's gonna brighten up your raw umber. So it's gonna push your raw umber up to the light, and the red is warms up your color. It's a value 5. If you're using uh, vermilion, it's going to be like 4.55, like a lighter red. So that's gonna lighten your colors, and it's going to turn the raw umber, since it's a yellow, it's a dark yellow. It's going to turn it into like a darker orange. Okay, red orange. So it's best for like here at the before the light hits it. It's okay. It's okay. We're gonna go through all of that. So the important thing right now is let's start with our shadow. So choose your shadow. The base will always be either burnt umber or raw umber. We can always modify both of these. I can turn this more red, but by adding red to this yellow, it's going to make it more orange. So what I want to do right now is use the raw umber, and to darken it, I'll use my. It's this has the white titanium white label, but it's actually ultramarine blue. So ultramarine, my ultramarine here, it's a little bit. It's like anyway, we'll thin it down. So let me pour down my paint first. So I'm using this my palette here. It's just a homemade palette. It's from a plastic folder uh, document case, and I just can seal it down, so it's a little bit cheaper. It's like $4. So here's our raw umber here. I'm not gonna put out too much because this is alkyd, and no amount of clove oil is gonna help this from drying. I actually use clove oil. I place something like this, you know, with cotton there, and then just pour clove oil on it, and then just put it inside my sealed palette to slow down the drying of paint. So I don't want to put it in the fridge. I tried it before, but it's not very convenient, and can have to pull out your food. There's dangers of contamination and stuff. So I just use clove oil, the scent of clove oil. In a sealed palette, you can use a Masterson palette like this. Just be careful of clove oil because it's gonna soften your plastic. Okay. So what I'm doing here is just using a folder plastic here, like a transparent plastic. Just place it inside, and I just pack this on here, or just place it there before sealing your palette. It's gonna stay for like maybe 3 months. You can expect it to still be fresh, usable, not fresh, but usable. Especially those clumps, those thin stuff. I don't know. So okay, so we have a raw umber here. I laid out my raw umber. Then I have a little bit of uh, ultramarine here. So let's try to mix both Gonna try mixing both and show you the color that we get. So here it is. So basically when I mix blue into that, it's gonna turn it very dark. You're gonna turn your raw umber very dark. And we don't want to, like I said, my principle is we don't wanna paint too dark too soon. Okay. So what happens here is if I mix raw umber with ultramarine blue, it's gonna give me like a dark green, like an olive green kind of color, but less vibrant. It's an olive green, but less vibrant. Uh, I'm just gonna mix lots of liquid into this so you can see it. So what's gonna happen here is that I'm gonna paint it over here, okay? So you're not gonna see much color, but it's there. So this is basically a like a dead olive green color. I'm gonna paint it. You can see it in your palette. You can experiment. Just a small one. So what I'm doing here is I'm just first acquainting myself with the pigment. Uh, this alkyd paint is really sticky, really dries so fast, especially now that it's summer and the Philippines is like 34 degree. So you can see the greenish color of it, right? I don't know if the phone camera like captures it, but the important thing here is to darken. So you don't get confused. One thing is start with the darkest shade, plant it there, and then move out from there. Okay. So what I did with the drawing here is still I used the same technique that I showed in my live, and then just sprayed a layer of a thin layer, a sparse amount of fixative, really small amount. Don't apply too much fixative because it's gonna create this acrylic layer, like a thick acrylic layer, and it might compromise the stability of your ground. Your paint might not stick to it, but so far in my experience, not none of that thing happened. Even painting on thick layer of fixative, because fixative, like it's if it's acrylic has this like uh, holes in it, right? So it's kind of like a hard gesso on top. But to be safe, I just keep it, just enough to hold the drawing down, and then just paint over it with liquid, like just fill the entire piece with liquid and work from there. Let it dry and then just work from there. So I think my liquid hasn't dried because I just did this afternoon, but I was expecting it to dry because it's really hot where I am right now. So at least it's workable. So right now we're creating this, turning our shading here into like a grisaille. So it's gonna be a dark dead green color. Even if I put it out like this, in the air like this. Let's see. Me put more medium into that to lighten it so you can see the color. And just paint it over here maybe. So there it is. I don't know if you can, if it's obvious. It looks a little bit less green on the screen. So depends on how you prepare your canvas. I prepare my canvas with like uh, try to make it as smooth as possible without without remove the canvas grain actually by uh, putting layers of gesso on it and then sanding it, you know, turning it into like a smooth uh, surface. I like to paint on smooth surface. I don't want to have to struggle with holes and creaks and stuff like that. And especially since I like to draw like this, smooth drawings. I don't know if you can notice that. That's actually green, like a desaturated green right there. Then I'll just use this synthetic brush here to scrape the paint, spread it off, just lightly applying it. And if your ground is too absorbent and you're finding it hard to paint on it, uh, you can just layer more liquid onto it, but you know, make it smoother and smoother, but it's gonna turn more stickier. And if your first layer is actually more enjoyable working on it than the final layers, because the first layer is it's gonna be like painting with watercolors. For me, it's much more suitable for marking your lines and establishing those anchor points for your drawing. So it's kind of like a natural process. The more you add layers, the more it's going to kind of force you into this glazing technique. Now this portrait, I'm kind of this is kind of like my first time. No, no, no. This is going to be my second time trying to paint uh, ID picture, ID photo, an old ID photo type reference like this. Turn it into colored. This is black and white photo from the 90s, I guess. And I had to enlarge it, use like AI to enlarge it, and then place it here. Draw from it as a reference. Now, for the background, you can always use blue, but if you suddenly use that blue right now, it kind look odd. It's better to just reserve that later on and just keep the layers like intact. And just feeling my way right here, just imagining that there's a light that coming from here, and it's gonna fade out the background, so there's absolutely no background in this photo. So I'm just gonna imagine that the main light is coming from here, angle, and there's a backlight here, as you can see. It's coming from this. This is like a two two light setup. So what's gonna happen is once the shadows are gonna fall from here, so our eyes are gonna see this is darker. You're gonna perceive this area as darker and this area is lighter. To establish contrast, our eyes have like this, our mind, our brains, to make things clear. So I'm gonna like slowly paint on this background layer here. Okay. So this is my first time converting this into a colored painting, and my second time using a flap photo like this. Okay. I'm having like an issue with this alkyd paint. It's too dry, so I might change the normal oil paint on the next session. I'm just gonna use this up right now. Now without adding blue, I'm gonna try to apply this. It's too sticky. It's really too sticky. It's not helping me right now. Uh, it's just gonna. It's just gonna. I won't be able to spread it here. Okay. Yeah. And since the layer is still very absorbent, uh, this is not gonna work. And it's a Paul Rubens. Uh, so the pigment is not so. Uh, I don't know. I'm not gonna say anything because I haven't really tried it extensively. But I assume that the pigments won't be as pure. But I can see that this will be useful. This could be useful. This sticky paint like this could be useful for you know creating stuff like this. Like I'm gonna need like a stronger brush here to blend this out because I can't use it like in a fine way. Like I can't if I add too much liquid or medium, it's gonna fade it out too much. So it's gonna make it too transparent. And if I don't add enough medium, it's gonna be too sticky, so I can't spread it out, especially when my canvas is still very absorbent. Like right now, it's not gonna help me create this smooth transitions that I want. So it's gonna look more like watercolor type thing. So maybe instead of using that, I can use can add more. Let's try it. I'm gonna add more mineral spirit to it. Let's see if that's gonna help. This one is really sticky. Look at that. It's like it has. I don't see that there's. I don't see that there's calcium carbonate in it, but the alkyd medium that the paint has been molded in is just very sticky. I can see like it stretching like cheese on a pizza. Okay, so now I have this. I added some more mineral spirit to it. Let's see. So that's the color. It's the basic color. It's kind of greenish brown. So let's see if we can use that and spread it out like normal. Yeah, I think that works. So again, I recommend like studying how to shade in charcoal because that's gonna help you like paint volumes later on. Like so, your paintings are not gonna look flat because color you can use color then to create these values. 'Cause color has value, and this process it kind of teach you for your ala primas later on, and it kind of gives you like this space to learn like how colors mix, like stuff like that. It's really nice to start like this instead of rushing to be like a master. Uh, you know, what is it called? Like a single setting. What's that? Call that a la prima painter. So unless you want to make a show, like a carnival show, just like Bouguereau. Oh no, not Bouguereau. Uh, Sargent. So when I think about Sargent, no offense to Sargent fans out there, because I'm also a Sargent fan. Uh, when I think about him, it's like I don't know if he thought about it. The way people are like clamoring around him to get painted live, and then it's like the painting is not really the it's not really what they're after. It's like the popularity of the guy and the time spent. It's like an experience. It's like they're paying for the experience. Maybe that's why Bugaro kind of like grow tired and sick of it, and then just drop that stuff. It's like a show. It's like people are paying him to like paint him not because they want the painting, because they want the show. So it's kind of like a massage, going to a massage massage therapist, something like that. So they want the experience, not the painting. So it's like a 2 for 1 for people like they have they come home with a painting and they had the experience, like share with their friends, like, oh, I had a session with Mr. Bugaro. It's Sir Bugaro. Okay, so this having mineral spirit here on top, this is not wise, and it's gonna peel off the paint that I added here below. So don't do this at home. So let it dry first. Let it dry and then just paint on it. Now, after you experience this, painting like this, you can move on to doing a la prima, and you're gonna learn like through this. Like I said, color, layering, like the paint itself. Uh, I don't wanna go too dark yet because I was just trying to see if I can work with this alkyd paint like this. But I guess not. Look, it's not working. It's not working. So again, after your drawing, just add. You can choose between burnt umber or raw umber as your shadow. Base, uh, dark. Okay, I don't think about it. The shadow, it's just dark and light. Just if you think about like shadows, when I mention shadows or think about it, kind of referring to the how the physics is working, and to organize that in my thoughts, like a dark color and your light colors. So colors in the dark and colors in the light. So colors that don't are not influenced by light, and colors that are influenced by light, by the source light. Okay, so I'm gonna toss this out. I'm gonna see. Uh, I don't know. It's like painting with um, acrylic. Actually, it's too sticky. Or like painting with water soluble oil paint that is that doesn't have any medium. That's what it is. And it's not totally lost. Like maybe I just got the old stock. But this paint tubes has been with me for like 3 years, and I don't know how to store this type of paint. So it might be my fault if you're having to buy some of this. It might just try a couple of tubes. Like their white is good. I like the white. It's quick drying, and but it's not really useful for the method that I'm using here. It's only good for laying out the grisaille, the whites. But still, with that, I don't mind the long drying time. In the past, I was really like so adamant about having the paint to dry in quickly, like almost like I wanted like this. If I could press a button, like, and then have it dry quickly after painting, and just press a button and it's gonna dry. I think that was what I was looking for when I was still, practicing with acrylic. This kind of feels more like acrylic right now, with those slow drying mediums, acrylic with slow drying mediums. Now with burnt umber, you're gonna have like reddish purplish shadows when you use burnt umber. This one is greenish. It's kind of like outdoor type colors, outdoor greenery. The burnt umber is useful for like indoor type feel, you know. So I'm gonna ship. I'm gonna use the Montmartre tomorrow. So this one I can. This might be good for later layers, like top layers. Because one, it doesn't have too much. It doesn't have like a strong pigment. It's not too tinting. It doesn't tint too much. So now we have a sepia type thing going on here. Sepia is basically a blue with raw umber. If you want a sepia type painting, use raw umber and blue. Just add blue to darken it. It's gonna turn it into a green, so you can add red to create even more dark. So you can use a red, raw umber, and blue mixture to create your darkest dark, like your ambient occlusion, your occluded areas or lines can be painted with that. And it's still going to harmonize with your other colors, with your other dark colors, because when using colors, Colors are actually coming from the light. So the color of the light and even the absence of light, like in the world, like we're used to, our idea of colors is based on our reality, right? So the earth in the dark is actually like this purplish, right, color. So that's our darkness. That's our light. That's our darkness, the light in the darkness. Because there's no such thing as absolute darkness. There's always going to be light bouncing everywhere, right? It depends where you're at. So if you're in a garden, like your darkness in the middle of trees and stuff like that, it's going to be like a bluish in midnight. It's going to be a bluish greenish mixture. So what I'm trying to say is every color is going to be influenced by this, either the source light like sunlight, or the, if you're using like fluorescent, so it's going, the color of the fluorescent is going to affect everything. So this is what we call like in photography it's called like the Kelvin thingy, like the amount of the color of the light, the energy of the light. So that's gonna affect everything that is with inside of that. There's like light here, right? The light, the strongest light, and the weakest light. This is our shadow. This is what we call shadow, right? The weakest light. This area here is just lit by the weakest amount of light in the world, in this environment, right? So if we are to think about a real world, like if you're inside your room and your room's like a grayish color, so your darkest light in there is going to be based on this grayish brownish color. That's your weakest light, right? So that's going to affect everything that is within the shadow. It's going to be affected by that light. It's going to be colorized by that light. So whenever we see a shadow in that room, the color of the shadow in that room is going to be different when you're in a different room. Like if you're in a red room, everything is going to be like reddish, right? So in your in our world, like say here, I decide my lightest light, my lightest energy of my light is going to be like this white mixed with yellow ochre. Okay, so my light is going to be yellow. This is my strongest light, yellow. So everything in that light, every color in that light is going to be affected by this yellow. I don't know, maybe I'm just confusing you, but just think about it. Think about it. There's everything is affected by light. So there's no such thing as dark, like absence of light. Everything we see, we're not seeing like a black hole. When we're looking at, even at the occluded areas, we're not seeing a black hole there. We're actually seeing like a small amount of light, very small. So when using this, when choosing between raw umber and burnt umber, every color that we are going to desaturate, we're going to darken, we'll have to take on the raw umber, because I'm using raw umber here, right? So anything that I want to darken later on, let's say here in the skin, I want to darken it, right? I'm gonna have to mix this color in. So that's why when we're creating this grisaille, right? So the grisaille works as this. Already the shadows are in there, right? So you already have the taint of this weak light. It's already in there. So once we add a layer of, a thin transparent layer of red here or yellow, it's going to be affected by this. So if we paint a method like this step by step, or we can also pre-mix those colors later on. If you want to do a la prima, we now know that, like for example, like an orange, you have like a orange with white for skin, right? So when we want to darken that orange with white, we use this color now. But how much of this, right? So say here, it's not too dark here compared to here, right? So how much of this are we gonna add to that flesh tone now? So just this amount. So we can paint this type of desaturation of that color. So when we're doing alla prima, we kind of understand now that the amount of this darkness that we add into that, it's not really a darkness, it's like lowest light. Anyway, technicalities aside, that's basically how it works. So other artists will tell you to desaturate your colors because you're gonna be thinking about how the color disappears, right, as it goes into the shadow. But the color doesn't really disappear. You're just not seeing it because of the weak light. So what we're gonna do is think about it. For me, it's easier to think about it like it's everything is in like this deep water, right? It's like this water of this darkness. And then when the light comes in, it's gonna remove this color away. It's gonna take this darkness away. And then more of the light of the color is gonna be available for our eyes to see. So when we're mixing that now in Alla Prima, we know how much of this color now we're gonna add to our, say, red. Okay, and then just add it to this value. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get correct color correct value and color every time. We can like play with it, having that in mind, right? So in the past, when I was beginning, nobody told me that that's how it is. I was just following the pattern, like I was just following the steps. Like, okay, use raw umber to draw your underpainting. I'm like, why? What is an underpainting? Why do artists make this underpainting? Where did this come from? And when you trace back to the origins of oil painting, so it comes down to this. Like in the times of like Raphael and Leonardo da Vinci, I'm not going back to the old, like old gilding, like those times when they were using uh, tempera. So let's go. But that's basically the simplest way around it. Like if you think about it, like how do we how do we do art? Like in the past, like paper is not easily available. Their canvas is not easily available. Uh, paint is not uh, easily available. Like it's hard to find paint. It's hard to extract these oils. And when you create your, like, let's say you're gonna make egg tempera, though that mixture is gonna rot, right? You can't use it for like forever. You can't store a lot of it, so you have to keep making that. So it's gonna be time consuming, right? So what they do, I'm thinking, is that they draw their the subject, right? You have a sitter in front of you, then they're gonna draw you, add the backgrounds later, and then propose it to your patron. Like you have lots of variations, right? Just the drawing, just the drawing. It's not painted yet. just a drawing. Choose. Let your patron choose which one he likes or what modifications he wants. Like, okay, I want my body to be slightly angled. So the point is, they start with the drawing. I think based on what we can see. So basically, the underpainting, the ones that people just casually just paint, they think about it like a sketch, like a temporary sketch, but it's not. In the past, it was part of the entire painting. It's part of the entire image. So like Raphael, Leonardo da Vinci, they would draw this thing first. He would draw it in ink, I think, the past. But I think he didn't have that much patience, I guess. But looking at the Mona Lisa, I think I'm not sure if he transferred any of that, but based on the scans, you can see that he made lots of modifications on the panel. It was not really like a panel. There was like a canvas, a panel wrapped in canvas, right? So again, the point is that uh, this color, when you choose a romb, that's gonna affect your dark colors, your colors in the dark, or colors that are not in the light. So that's going to affect. And then the blue, the darkest. You can use blue to like make it a little bit darker even. So this one is just yellow, it's just light. If I add blue, right, and you see it here, you need to make it it's darker. And if I add red now more, if I add more like red, it's gonna darken it even more. If I add yellow ochre to it, it's gonna lighten it a little bit. So that's our shadow colors. Like thinking, thinking the way others think. We think about it as a shadow color, right? But it's not really shadow color. It's like the light that is in shadow, right? The color that is in shadow. And if you think as shadow as this veil, it's easier for us to like uh, mix our colors so that it looks like it's not in the light. Then we can then make our colors look like how they would look like when they're in the light, because we now have the light color. This one is our shadow color, right? So it's something that feels the veil that would like infect all the colors that are not in the light, right? So I think you got the point. So it's much easier to think about it like that, and this process kind of teaches you that. So when we add like red here compared to when we add red here, you're gonna see that if we add red here where there's not much of this color, you're gonna see more of the red, right? Than if I add it here. We can still see the red, but it's not gonna be as red, not as pure as when it is here. So now when we paint alla prima, we can just mix our white, right? Because we have white here. Mix it a little bit with yellow and then this romber, then mix our red. Then we can still get this color in our alla prima. Basically, this is just the old way of doing things is because there were no paint tubes. You can't mix like lots of colors right now. Like you have to just mix one color today. Okay, grind one color today, like maybe walnut size. Then use that to paint entire screen, so you don't waste a lot of materials because it's very expensive. And then again, the underpainting is not just some fancy thing that painters do. It's, even in wet on wet situations, wherever that raw umber is or burnt umber is, when the painter paints there, it's gonna mix into that color that they have on their brush. Just ever so slightly though, because they're gonna let it like absorb into the canvas. So they're just gonna be pulling a little bit of it. So it's not really in use. Like it doesn't. It's just a drawing, basically. It's not very integral compared to this. Because with this, I can just layer on like transparent layers of colors here, or I can use like semi-transparent colors to fix stuff. Right? If I want to even this out, I'm just gonna pick a color here. I'm gonna pick, maybe if I pick this darker gray, more grayish color here, and I wanna fill this everything with that. So I'm just gonna mix like a raw umber with black here, and just add some white to it, and then just paint everything here. But sometimes I kind of like the effect of this, like a drawing. It's still a drawing, but it has color in it. It's kind of, I like it. It's not too clean. Uh, there's, it's like not too watercolor messy, but it still has those characteristics. I kind of like that. Anyway, that's it for today, and I hope that helps. So, just the confusion. Just pick the point that I wanted to share today is like the shadow or the darkness, color of their darkness, right? Just pick either umber or burnt umber, and that's gonna affect the tone of your painting later on. Because you don't want to shift from having like here we're using raw umber, then just add burnt umber to our shadows later on. So it's gonna look uh, incohesive, right? Orange and yellow. They're kind of close, but there's gonna be variance, right? It's gonna not look uh, too harmonious. So the simpler our colors, the better. The fewer, the fewer noise there is, I think that's for me. It's better. So a minimalistic approach to color. So your painting is gonna look more classical, less AI looking. It's gonna look more traditional. It's gonna feel more traditional. It's gonna feel more handmade than than modern. So I think for me, I kind of like that the old feeling of this of the olden times. Like I kind of like it more than the modern. Feel like the neon bright lights, uh, wide contrast. Like uh, what do you call that? What do they call that? Like high contrast, high contrast, HD. No, it's not HD. Dynamic range, HDR. Like too crisp, too clear, too many colors. Like for me, that's too loud. It's too. Uh, it's too much. So I like the more relaxed nature vibe. So when you're looking at paintings from Bouguereau, paintings from Sargent, from uh, those guys, you kind of see that their palettes are really they don't use too much colors. So it kind of look more real. It's more, I don't know. I don't have the exact words. It's like more primal, more more archaic, maybe, or more. Uh, I don't know. I don't know. What do you think? Like for me, like having too much colors, I can have you paint like a bright Hansa yellow here, then you use cadmium yellow here on this other side. I think I don't know. I'm not gonna say much about that. Also, we have our visitors, Baba Roga. We have Baba Roga. We have Gabriel Sanchez. Hello, thanks for dropping by, guys. So I hope that helps. Again, to recap, basically, again, for it's important. Number one, for me, it's important to study value control by either using charcoal or pencil. Uh, draw spheres, boxes. Just have fun with it. Just don't think about it as something that you have to do. If you feel like that, if you feel like a resistance to it, don't do it. Okay, just drop it. Go on your way. Just paint what you like. Uh, but you're gonna find that, for example, if you're drawing a flower, watching those people who like draw flowers, you're gonna notice it that in their colors they like preload their brush so that when they make the stroke, it's gonna create that. Uh, let's say I have red here, right, and then I wash it with white first, right? So I place like white here, so it's gonna be wet, right? Wet white, and then the red here. So they're gonna press their brush and then they're gonna do the stroke, right? So notice that here at this point here, it's there's more red here than the areas away from the brush stroke, right? So they're kind of like automating the shading, but it's still there. The value is from their mid-range, from because it red is 5, right? So what they're doing is like painting 5 to 0 with their stroke. So value is still there. So learning, just go through a couple of drawings, you know, just draw a couple of shapes like your teapot or whatever, whatever shape. Just shade a couple of things like an egg, an egg. Just you know, put it on your list. Have it on your list to the side, like shade, like put it on your list there. How how oh how to shade an egg using charcoal. Just write it down. Write it down. How to shade using charcoal or using graphite. Then throw your paper away. Just forget about it. Forget about it. Then you'll notice that your mind, your subconscious is gonna keep asking that question. It's gonna loop. Just forget about it. So then you're gonna develop this. One of these days, like a month or two or whatever, come the interest is gonna come to you, and everything that's about shading, as you paint, as you want to do things, it's gonna come in. It's gonna keep coming in your consciousness, and through that time, you're gonna be learning about value, about shading, about charcoal in the background, just simply by asking that question on paper. It's not magic. It's not magic. It's not manifestation, things like that. It's just the way our brain works. When we ask a question, our brain can't help but find an answer. So if you want to achieve something, want to learn something, don't write down like I want to learn charcoal painting. No. Instead, write down how to shade a nose. For example, how to shade a nose, how to shade an eye, right? Or how to shade this eye, specific eye, how to shade a human eye, how to shade a dog's eye, how to shade a fur. You just write it down. If you don't write it down, it's not gonna work. Write it down with intent, and then forget about it, and it's gonna work. Even if your heart is not in it, but we don't write things down without like even a small amount of intent, right? But there's always an intent there. But this has been practiced in the past. It's like in magic circles they use it, but they don't understand the psychological nature of this thing. Anyway, that's my last tip for today. I hope it's not too weird, but just try it. Okay, just put it down there in your list. Just put it in your list and throw it away. Then notice that you're gonna start learning this thing. Everything that you look at, you're doing shopping, reading a book, you're gonna notice this shading everywhere. Then our minds are like this machine that works in the background. Everything, not we have this thinking from our educational system that what we know is simply just coming from our conscious choices and effort to learn something, but it's not. That's not true. Most of the things that we do, like walking, talking, our language, our expressions, our reactions, our value judgments, how we judge something, how we are impressed, our impressions from something. These are not actually learned consciously. We haven't been told how to feel about things, how to react, how to interact with these things. We didn't actually choose from a list, but we actually just learned it. Like we absorbed it. We learned it subconsciously. So that's how it is too in things that we want to do. So just ask the question, throw it away. And the importance again of value, controlling value, being able to see value is like so important in painting. Color has inherent value. Just turn it black and white and you can see the value there. Just paint your colors, turn it black and white in your phone. Take a photo, turn it, turn the saturation down, edit the photo, turn the saturation down, and you'll see the value. Everything has value. Being able to see it and replicate it on paper. Like I look at a photo, I see a value there, the value difference between this and this from the photo, right? Being able to replicate that and see that replicated here from there, from the photo to my work, shows that I understand value. I can perceive value. And that's gonna help you in your paintings. Like it's like a foundation. It's especially in figurative art or realism, especially in hyperrealism. It's there. But if you just want to splash paint around, don't bother. But if you want to depict reality in whatever way that you like, you can like break the value of a certain image, right? But first, you need to see them. Right? That's gonna come later on when we go crazy because nobody's buying our painting. Then we go crazy, then we go paint stuff like nobody cares, and then we get a miracle painting that somebody likes and pays for like $100 million. That's gonna come later. But for now, we have this artist like we have, I don't know, in the past, like when we were children, I don't know, maybe it's just for me because I'm like a logical thinker, intuitive, logical. I'm not much into feeling. I'm more into thinking. So, uh, seeing structure and to replicate that, and then to be able to reimagine that in a different context of a certain reality that I decide for that object to be in, that's gonna still need a sense of structure, right? So there's still value. Value is still gonna play there. So everything's, I don't know. I don't know why painters like when you do digital art, they're gonna tell you. They're gonna start from value. No, digital art is the easiest uh, medium to waste color, to just throw color everywhere. It's the easiest way to throw color around because it's free. You can see it there in your color wheel. Every color is there. Every value, every color is there. It's the easiest, but if you want to do digital art properly, you have to start with that value, realism value. Then you can go to the anime style later on. Even in anime, value is translated into shape, into context. So while we don't see the value in the image itself, it's implied in the shape. Like the nose, for example, in anime, we don't really see the entire nose. It's just a line there. So it's implied in the shape. The value is implied in the shape. The mouth, you don't really see the lips, but when you look at an anime, you kind of feel that that character has lips. It doesn't just have a hole in the mouth area, it has lips. Depends on the creator, and we can emphasize that in anime, like you can make it feel like the character has a thick lips, uh, puffy lips, just by the shape itself. So the value is implied in the shape. So the structure is implied in the line. So it's like it's magic. It's amazing, actually. All of these things are like so fantastic, so amazing. Just talking about lines and a shade, stuff like that. So anyway, for our purpose here, I recommend to at least try it. Just occasionally, like where you're sitting on your couch, listening to, you know, listening to music, listening to a blog. Just get something like a paper. I can use vellum paper from from bookstores, like those shape, those school. Doesn't have to be expensive, Just get the drawing pads for kids. Those pads that are drawing like Oslo paper or whatever. I even used newspaper, a newsprint paper before. Whatever is available. The important thing is you can like shade something. You can actually see value. When I started this, I couldn't. Some, you know, when I look at a photo, I can't di- distinguish really how light this is. I can't replicate it. I can't see it. And when I see it, I can't replicate it. Sometimes this one is too dark, this one is too light, something like that. But the more I really spent time, like I joined the competition. I think it's in my first video here on channel. Uh, I spent like a month, really, shading that thing slowly, slowly, like for hours daily, like 8 hours a day. Just so it's not good. Okay, don't follow what I did because it's gonna hurt your back. It's gonna cause a lot of trouble for you. Just do it 1 hour. or 30 minutes, 20 minutes, just draw, shade something. Half moon, shade the moon, draw a moon in black and white, draw an egg in black and white. But just by intention, you're gonna learn it. But it's important. And I don't see painters here on YouTube, except from Florent. Florent always emphasizes value. You need to draw that. You need to be able to draw value, see value, replicate value. But some painters really just skim over it because I think they realize that people don't like that. Like casual painters really don't want to dive into that, and they don't see the value of that, the value of value. They don't see the value of learning value control. And people kind of, some people just, when you tell them, like, learn this or try to see this, try to draw this in black and white first, they're gonna turn away from you because they think that that's easy. Just like tracing, they think that's easy. They want to be like, they want to be in this fantasy world, like it's like a movie. It's like they want to do. They think that being an artist is easy. They think that what we do is so easy that they can just jump in, pick up the brush, pick up a pencil, and just paint. But they don't understand like the foundations of everything. They don't see uh, number one, the value control, understanding, perceiving value, being able to replicate value, understanding that value can change depending on the context. They don't see that. It's like they don't even see, they don't even realize that what we see from the world, we don't actually think about everything that we see. Like when you ask someone to draw me a ball, some people are just gonna draw that, the lines, right? To them, that's the ball. That's what their brain shows them. And when you put it side by side with a real ball, they're gonna laugh, right? Of course, it's just a drawing. Draw me a ball. But when you ask an artist to draw a ball, it's gonna shade it, right? There's shadows in it. There's cast shadow, right? Because as artists, I think it's part of our nature, maybe, to to see the things that people, mostly ordinary people, just eliminate from their minds. Like as artists, we are like called to see things that other people's ignore. That's why even in politics in the past, like artists, songwriters, poets, they're able to bring out things that society just ignore. So I think, in a way, uh, it's kind of like uh, seeking for the kingdom kind of thing, right? Seeking the truth about the facts and presenting it as a new truth, as your truth, right? So it's kind of part of our nature as seekers, as artists, to first like go through all of this. Like it doesn't have to. You don't have to be like good at it before you can jump into something else. No, it's everything. We learn everything at once, right? That's okay too. But in the past, they kind of have to go through this. When you when you're in the atelier, you have to like first be able to uh, draw this stuff. Right? They have this plates. I forget the name of that. You don't have to do that, like the line stuff and like that. You don't have to do that. You can trace whatever, trace your photo. The important is understanding the shape and be able to replicate the values so you can create like a 3D object on a 2D plane. So you understand the light, you understand this. Can you see this? This is a backlight here. Some people won't see that. Ordinary people won't realize it. There's a backlight there. It's light here that cuts the shadow here. And if I don't put that there, this is gonna flatten. We're not gonna think that it's round. We're not gonna see this as a round cheek if I take out that backlight there. So this light cuts the shadow here, separates both of this hair area, this plane of the hair, from the roundness of the cheek. So I think it's important to learn that stuff. If you really feel frustrated, why I can't do this stuff, why I can't paint like this, I want to paint like this. I want to paint like Bugaro, I want to paint like uh, who's this guy? Like he has a palette. I want to paint like this guy, like whoever. Why? Why is my painting like flat? Why is it? Why does my shading look dirty? Why does my shading look crooked, like broken? Like even when you use a dark color here, it doesn't look like it's a natural round. There's like it's like a flat object that has a dark paint written on it, right? It doesn't look round. It looks like the ball doesn't look round. It looks like a flat piece of paper or cardboard that has a painted darker color over there. It doesn't look round. Why? Right? So we understand that uh, through all of this, the things that I've discussed today, uh, first value and then understanding it through layering, that there's such a thing as color in the light and color in the lowest value light, color in the strongest light, color in the weakest light. So color in light, color in shade. And that's what we call it, shade. But it's not really a shade. It's really just the color. You're not seeing the color because there's not much light bouncing off of it. And that's what value is. Okay, so if you want to break through the plateau, like we've been looking for years, you've been looking for videos that tell you how to break from this blockage. There's this blockage in your work. You really can't. You can't escape it. You don't want. Then you kind of lost what you want. You lost your way because you can't. There's something you're missing. There's an element in your craft that you're missing, such that you have become lost in this searching for answer, and then you kind of turned into this person who just tries techniques, tries and tries, keeps trying techniques, buying all of this paint, buying all of these tutorials without really realizing that it's just foundation. It's just the understanding of why certain things look this certain way, and then being able to replicate that through a certain technique or process. That was the only thing that you need. Like, okay, so next, if you're able to draw like this, able to replicate value, you can then start like changing the colors, right? You can use red. So how can you make red round? Or yellow? How can you make yellow round? How can you paint uh, a yellow ball? That first we were painting a yellow egg. First we were trying to draw an egg, right? So a white egg that looks round. Next we're gonna paint a yellow egg in a yellow world. So everything's yellow. So how can you darken yellow so it becomes a yellow in the shadow, or a yellow that's not very visible? How can you make yellow not bright but still yellow? What does yellow look like when it's not hit by a light, a strong light? So let's see this, right? So you see that this yellow, this yellow is yellow in the light. This yellow is yellow that is not in the light. It it it's still getting light, especially here, but not as strong as the light that's coming from above. So what's that? How do we paint that now? How do we draw that now? How do we paint that yellow? So it looks like it's round. It looks like it's going like this. So the basics are very important, the fundamentals. And casual painter, there's no such thing. You're gonna get frustrated as you try to want to improve your craft. Then it's time. Like, first, just paint, just go wild, just use your paint. Maybe that's all you want to do. That's fine. Then you want to do more. You want to do more. You want to be more realistic. You wanna you wanna depict a world in your own paper that looks real, that feels real. Now it's time to upgrade, right? So you're gonna have to learn skills to upgrade. Anyway, that's it for me for now, and thanks for dropping by, and I hope that helps whoever watches this in the future. Just don't worry about it, but the truth is, we need those skills. We need the understanding, not just the skill, but skill comes from understanding. And being able to do something comes from doing this thing correctly over and over again. Okay. So it's gonna be natural that things are gonna be slow at first. Things are gonna feel like it's a struggle. Your brain is gonna hurt. Like you're gonna get exhausted after 20 minutes of trying to draw an egg, or 5 minutes, or 3 minutes, it's gonna feel like it's boring because your brain is gonna want to rest. After learning a few things, he wants to rest, to absorb all this information, to create like the neural pathways for that new information, right? So it wants to rest. So rest. Don't use your phone. Lie down, close your eyes, rest. Then drink lots of water. So your neuroplasticity is there. You're gonna learn fast. Eat tuna, vitamins, your daily dose of vitamin B12 and stuff like that. Omega 3 fatty acids. Don't study when your stomach is full. Okay, just average, just normal. Don't study when you're hungry. Don't study when you're full, and just normal, just average. So after you eat a small amount, maybe a cup. When you eat meat, like maybe 100 grams of meat, you're gonna need like 1 hour of rest before studying again. So this is just the machine, the body. It's just dealing with our body and how to learn fast, efficiently, right? So stay healthy, keep a positive outlook and open mind, and don't judge yourself. Don't pressure yourself. It's like pressuring yourself is like so low IQ, right? It's so barbaric. Like we're still trying to learn something, and we kind of expect like 100% when we're only starting. Of course not, right? Kind of stupid. So don't stupidly attack yourself. I mean, the way we attack ourselves is not even from our own. It comes from our shadow. Like we're mirroring how we attack ourselves from our parents. So, like how we are judged by other people that we respect. That's how we like inflict that pain to ourselves. So don't, okay. Uh, be a learner. Just embrace this spirit to learn, being a learner. Like just be curious. Like how do I do this? How do I shade an egg with a pencil? How do people do that? What do I need to see to be able to do that? What do I need to do to be able to do that? What are the gestures? What are the hand gestures that I need? How strong? How heavy should my hands be? My mindset? What am I like? How do I go about this? Right? What what thoughts? What questions arise when I'm while I'm doing this egg? While I'm drawing this egg, so I can draw this egg from the preliminary from an empty page to a finished egg. What are the thoughts? What is the mental process that's going on there? Anyway,